if you're repeatedly crying for every small thing and you cannot control your crying, in public you keep crying, that means there is definitely something underlying pathology and you need to be analyzed that what is causing you this emotional dysregulation.
Madam, my question was actually related to Dr. Samir Shah's talk, in which he was in the slide on one of the slides he has mentioned recognizing meaning
Patterns,
of
no? So I'll just wait for Samir to come and he'll answer that question. Till then, I'll take some other questions.
There is
Uh,
a question: if there is some unresolved conflict that is disturbing till the to the person, will visualization technique help for unresolved conflicts?
Visualization technique is more useful when you have a bad memory, which is repeatedly coming into your mind, and you replace with a good memory. For example, I had an accident, and now I'm very worried to drive. I don't want to enter the car. So then I replace that accident image with the image of me driving very confidently and enjoying the drive. And that is known as going into this. But when there's an unresolved conflict, it is more important to resolve the conflict because that will be the permanent solution. Visual imagery in this case will be only temporary because any indecision or any unresolved conflict is going to trouble your mind again and again. So it's like, taking paracetamol for fever. The fever will come down, but unless you're treated the etiology or the cause, the fever will recur. Similarly, if there's an unresolved conflict, visual imagery will make you temporarily calm and satisfied, but that unresolved conflict will always play in your mind. So you have to then learn your thinking skill, problem solving, decision making, creative and critical thinking, and resolve that conflict. Okay, any other question? Okay. So Marathe said that it's very difficult if you lose, right? Now, why is it so difficult to lose? Because right from childhood, we have to learn to teach children how to take failures and how to take no. We always celebrate all successes. We had, like, you see that movie of Sushant Singh, where they had that movie that he had kept that champagne bottle ready when he passes his IIT, etc. But never a plan was made that if it does not pass IIT, then what? So if you don't have a second option or plan ready, then when you lose, it is life and death. And then you feel complete failure. Ki, I was supposed to win, I didn't win, I have lost. So every time you're going into a competition, you have to also have the joy of participation. So the child has to be told that if you win, we'll be very proud of you. It'll be very nice. But even if you don't win, we are still proud that you have entered the competition. And if you come out second, third, also, it is fine. Everybody cannot be first. So the mind of the child has to be prepared in advance, not just ready to win, but also to accept if there's a failure. We never do that. And that is why the child also is so charged up to win that when he loses, he is terribly disappointed. He sees the disappointment on the parent's face and he cannot handle that failure. In life, we have to understand that everybody is going to have success and failure both. And if we just hanker after success, we can't take failures. Marathe, does that sort it out, solve your question?
I think that is why I had mentioned in my WhatsApp group about the importance of games. That
Yeah,
is one thing which always teaches us how to lose because
correct.
we can bounce back.
Absolutely. Is life
Yes,
skill
madam. Good
education?
evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, Samir, let's start.
Now stage is set, and we having a
Samir,
52
afterwards in the end,
participants.
just take Dr. Lal's comments. He had a comment on your recurrent patterns and all. So I told him in the end you can take his question.
Sure,
But
sir.
we can
Definitely
start
we
now.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
dear friends, very good evening and welcome to the our one of the very important session of the life skill education, and that is about the thinking skill. Uh, before the our main speaker, Dr. Sandeep Kavde, start today, I requesting the Dr. Swati Bhav madam to give the welcome note, and then we can start our session.
Okay, now I'm just going to recapitulate. When you talk of life skills, why do we start the first life skill of self awareness? Because unless an adolescent has positive self esteem, he's always going to be at risk for peer pressure and high risk behavior. So once we have taught an adolescent to be confident about himself and self esteem, the next we take is coping skills or take emotional skills because we all know that the amygdala preponderance is there. So children are working through their amygdala. So it is the low processing system that is act first and think later. And we want them to develop their prefrontal cortex, which is think first and act later. And life skills help them by controlling their emotions. So, by using the two skills of coping with emotions and coping with stress, children learn to calm down the hypothalamic limbic system. So, if they can avoid a amygdala hijack and calm down, then their rational thinking can take over. So, after they have calmed down, then we have to think of the prefrontal cortex. And we know the prefrontal cortex is a brain under construction. And unlike thought in the past that by 18 years they're adult and mature, we know that that takes up to 20 to 25 years to mature. So since their prefrontal cortex is not matured, we have to help them how to mature it. And whenever I've taken programs for teenagers, life skill education, and their parents, teens have gone home and told their parents, Mama, Dr. Bhave took a lecture for us. We are on the amygdala hijack. Our prefrontal cortex is not very developed. So you are not going to scold us. You are going to understand that we behave like this. So the parents have replied that Dr. Bhave has taken life skill for us also. And that is why we are here to guide you, because your amygdala hijack is there. We are here to guide you to think and use your prefrontal cortex. So that is why you have to listen to parents and teachers when they tell you something. This was just as a joke, because children use this brain development to manipulate their parents, saying कि हम तो ऐसा ही, हमारा brain ऐसा ही है, तो हम ऐसा ही behave करेंगे. So coming to the today's session, thinking skills help the adolescent to mature his prefrontal cortex, because we are systematically teaching them how to solve a problem with a proper protocol, with a lot of models which Sandeep will be telling you. We also teach them how to come to a structured decision making without becoming emotional, but thinking very rationally. And critical thinking helps in making a proper decision, because if you make a decision with emotions, it is very likely to turn wrong. But if you make a decision with critical thinking and problem solving skills, then your decision is more likely to be right. Of course, any decision can turn out wrong retrospectively, because when you make a decision, you take all the things into consideration which are present. And if the situation changes, the very well thought decision can become wrong. And we have to explain to adolescent that you have to accept the consequences of your decision and not keep blaming you or others that I made a wrong decision, because you made the decision with full thought. If the situation changes, your decision can be wrong. And creative thinking is to make them think out of the box, because everything has a solution. If you don't have a creative thinking, you cannot have a solution. So these four thinking skills are very necessary for adolescents to get their prefrontal cortex develop and become mature earlier. And those adolescents who have not undergone life skill training, their prefrontal cortex is going to take much longer to mature, because there is no stimulus, there is no training, there is nothing which activates the prefrontal cortex to work faster. Okay, Sunny, you can go ahead.
So now we understand what are the thinking skill of how we can go ahead. And you all has also gone through the our pre-test, which will give us idea about the, what are the things what we are going to learn today. We will try to make it as interactive as possible, that at least you can understand the what are the different approaches how we can do. We will try to make you more attentive, to be remain attentive, because there will be the few call, few will be the chat app answering that you have to do. So be attentive for that, and let's discuss the different case scenario according to the skills that we will going to discuss. Over to Dr. Sandeep.
Thank you very much, sir. So today we will be discussing as Madam has beautifully prefaced, the thinking skills. Myself and Dr. Samir Shah sir will be alternating for different topics, and we'll be taking so we have started with self-awareness and empathy during the first session. In the second session, we did coping with emotions and coping with stress. So what we can see is we did the skills of the heart, that is the personal skills, self-awareness, empathy, coping with stress, and coping with emotions. Today we'll be dealing with skills of the head. And when both of this, the heart and head is ready, the hand comes, that is connection with others, communication and interpersonal relationship, which we'll be discussing in the next session. So what we are doing today is the skills related to the head, creative thinking, critical thinking, decision making, and problem solving. So you all know these skills. Even then, many of you found the quiz or the pre-test to be difficult. The only reason is there are no watertight boundaries, what we can say critical thinking or creative thinking, or what we think of problem solving also involves some element of decision making. So therefore, some of these questions may be slightly maybe confusing, but I would say the question or the answers, perfect answers are not important. Understanding the concepts and giving these thinking skills as a whole to the adolescent is more important. So, uh, first of all, I hope that all of you means the will show your coping skill of the thinking skill of empathy, because of the frequently asked questions, or the questions which got the least answer was ninth was my mistake of the Bloom's revised taxonomy, creating or designing or inventing something. 48 or 64% of you had got it correct, but because of my mistake, remembering was put as a correct answer. So apologies, and I hope you will forgive me. For the next question, which was the most common wrongly answered question, was reframing. So the clue here was the growth mindset. So growth mindset is telling you that I can't do this yet. So that would be changing from fixed to growth mindset. But other options are not exactly wrong. Therefore, you may feel that I should try something else. Is also uh, changing of thinking. But I won't call it from fixed to growth mindset. But these are just nitpicks. Both answers can be said to be okay. So let's go to the actual core topics of today. So why is adolescent period? We have already understood that brain development is not adequate. But at the same time, even if we want or don't want, most of the important decisions come during this period. So what I am going to do my whole life, part to my future, education, skill building, professional growth, all the major decisions come over here. All the major habits of addictions, even digital dependency, mental health impact occur during this period. So, children who can resist addictions till their prefrontal cortex develops may occasionally use, but do not become dependent on any substance. Whereas addictions early on, or substance abuse early on, can make them dependent. Because of their emotional immaturity, they many times land up in toxic relationships and problems during relationships. Habits of exercise, good diet usually happen during this period, and children who cannot fall into non-communicable diseases, so lifestyle related diseases during this period. Unsafe sex, where risk of unplanned pregnancy, sexually transmitted infections can come due to wrong decisions during this period. Therefore, it is very important that the children has a mature head on their body. As ma'am has beautifully explained, adolescent brain is an emotional brain. The control is below that is amygdala, which is the seat of emotions, and hypothalamic limbic system. And therefore, the adolescent is impulsive, risk-taking behavior is very common. This maturity, though previously taught to be at 18 years, can occur anytime between 16 to sometimes even up to 25, sometimes even later. So rare cases you may see who are very mature and clear even in their mid-adolescence or late adolescence, but these are exceptions. And most of the adolescents have complete prefrontal cortex development by the age of 25. So thinking brain develops, then it is governed by the prefrontal. So therefore, you will be making the decision first, and emotions come later, and impulse control is developed. So very beautiful example Bhavya ma'am gives many times. So teenager is like having a Formula One engine. So, but the teenager doesn't have any driving skills. Small mistakes and suddenly accident occurs. So thinking skills act as the external brakes or training wheels for the developing prefrontal cortex, and helps to arrive at better and correct decisions which give lesser and less severe problems as they go ahead. So thinking skills can be roughly divided into basic lower order things, skills like remembering, understanding, applying. And you will see that our education system values these three skills more than any other skill. But as we go ahead in life, especially now in the age of digital computers, computing facility, this remembering, understanding, and basic applying doesn't have that much importance, whereas higher order skills like analyzing, evaluating, and creating are more important. So this is the Bloom's device taxonomy. Creating is using info to creating something new. Evaluating is critically examining info and then making judgment. Judgment may be comparison, critique, then criticize. It may be different judgments, but depending on the critically examining the info and making it. And third part is analyzing, taking information apart and exploring the relationship between different. So you can categorize things, you can organize in hierarchies, you can compare, you can contrast. So these skills require certain higher order thinking, not just basic understanding. And this we have to develop. And unfortunately, our education systems are not that keen. So even let's say for an MBBS graduate who comes outside, he notes medicines, but he rather understand how to communicate these medicines, how to take look at the patient as a whole and not as a disease. And many times these skills are later learned with experience. Similarly, when we are thinking about thinking skills, Daniel Kahneman had a very nice book. We can divide our thinking skills into two types of thinkings. One is system one thinking, fast, automatic, gut feeling, where we make very quick judgments, where intuitive, emotional, we use shortcuts and patterns. And these are best for routine actions and snap decisions. Example, I am driving my car and suddenly something comes before. I'm not going to analyze what kind of shape and size this thing is, whether my car is fast enough. I will directly slam on the brakes. This is like a flight and fight reaction. This thinking system is useful in many situations and it decreases the stress on our systems. But it has risk of biases. So things which I fear, I will start to avoid, and similar things also avoid without thinking. There will be illusions and there will be snap judgments. Then there is the system two, or second type of thinking, which is slow, effortful, and logical. Here we slowly and deliberately focus and put effort. We analyze logically step by step, and this is important for best for complex problems and important choices. But problem is if you continuously do it, will our brain system will get overworked and there will be fatigue and will be exhausted. So we have to have a balance. There is no good or bad thinking. We have to have intuitive thinking, but that has to be used for routine actions. But at the same time, we should be very, very cognizant about the biases which we have, and we should use slow, effortful, logical thinking to gradually overcome these biases and go ahead in life. Today is the age of information or digital age. Continuously, we get so much data. Previously, there was no connection, and now we have thousands of WhatsApp messages, thousands of emails just waiting for us to be read. So much content is coming, digital entertainment content, and it becomes so very difficult to focus and make good decisions in the choices. There is a paradox of choices. So, more the choices increase in front of us, more likely the bad choices which we take. It is common problem in the digital age. It leads to stress, anxiety, poor performance, and mental fatigue. So we many times think why the teenager can't make a simple choice, but it is due to the different conflicting pulls on the decision which happens on a teenager. So we have to start to find the solution by focusing on prioritizing, filtering, and managing the intake of information. And we have to also teach our teenagers this. The paradigm shift. The old model was people don't know what is good for them. So let us tell them. So we tell them smoking causes cancer, they will not smoke. But this thing has failed because we now know knowledge does not necessarily lead to behavioral change. If that was the case, there would have wouldn't be doctors who are smoking or drinking. So what we are trying to do is develop new models where knowledge and attitude and value-based life skills will cause a change where the goal is self-efficacy, moving from telling them what to do to teaching them how to think. So this is the cigarette packet which was available few years back. Government in their wisdom has thought that this images is going to deter people from buying a cigarette. So we have a typical very grotesque pictures on the cigarette packs today. Few days back, a very interesting Instagram reel was floating around. So somebody gave the first packet to the smoker and he said, "अरे ये काम का नहीं है, मुझे वो कैंसर वाला दे." So this shows that we may give information, but that information will not cause behavioral change unless it is added with good values and enhanced life skills. So we'll start with the first of our four skills, critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to analyze information and experiences objectively. It involves assessing factors that influence attitudes, such as media and peer pressure, to form a reasoned judgment. This is very crucial in the digital age to combat something like health misinformation and resist negative peer pressure. When a person has deficiency of critical thinking, they are vulnerable to exploitation. They will believe whatever the others people say. And you will find today there are many educated people who are falling to such exploitation around by scams. Then there are people who believe in such conspiracy theories like flat earth or moon landing was fake. Then there are people who believe all kinds of nonsense. We have seen during COVID how people affected their own health by taking wrong choices and just because WhatsApp pe pada. Therefore, critical thinking skills are very, very important in today's day and age. The qualities required by a person to have critical thinking would be that they should have be consider problems thoughtfully and demonstrate open-mindedness to accept all kinds of evidence, show flexibility where they can change opinion when the evidence changes, and persistence to find not believing the first evidence they get. Here, they require the individual to focus on reasoning, that is, thinking logically, evaluating, assessing usefulness and reliability of information, analyzing, exploring information in detail, and examining whether this information is true or false in detail. All these qualities make a person a critical thinker. What we all need is having healthy dose of skepticism. Now, when I tell you skepticism, first thing is somebody who denies everything. So, first and foremost, skepticism is not cynicism. Skepticism is the mental act of suspending judgment. Instead of immediately accepting or rejecting something, a skeptic will say, pause. This is like yellow light. Let me wait. I don't know whether this is true or false. Let me get further evidence. Once I get evidence, then I will decide what to do. True skepticism involves that you even look at your own beliefs with the same skeptic eye. So, what we need is a skeptic shield. Whenever we get any news, we should, this will help to combat that fake news and misinformation. It will help us in overcoming cognitive biases. So, what are biases? There are problems in our thinking processes. We'll discuss few of them later. This will protect us from manipulation and will enhance our scientific literacy. Although this is true, excessive skepticism is not good. Analysis paralysis. A person who wants to exercise does so much research that ultimately he's confused whether to do yoga or whether to do gym or whether to do swimming. He does nothing. Or it can slide into denialism, whatever any authority says. So we have such denialism right now into vaccines. We know vaccines work. We know vaccines are safe, but a large population, especially even in an educated country like US, is denying that. Erosion of trust and relationships. So once that person becomes cynic, he starts to doubt anything which other person say. They do not have any faith in others. So it may be a lack of trust in the government, school authorities, teachers. There will be mental fatigue and burnout, and there is nihilism. So everything doesn't have any meaning because ultimately all things are wrong. So we should not be excessively skeptic or cynics, but at the same time have a healthy dose of skepticism to help us combat this information overload. So you may have seen if somebody has seen the Patal Lok serial, this dialogue, शास्त्रों में लिखा हुआ है पर मैंने WhatsApp पर पढ़ा था. So this is a WhatsApp or internet source of information is a burning problem. So we all should have critical thinking to avoid it, and we should pass this to our teenagers. How can we do this now? So critical thinking framework, this is a very powerful framework. We have been taught in even when we are little, 5W and 1H. So who did this? Who is responsible? Who is giving this information? Something like this. So any information, we can ask this question. Where? Where is this information applied to? What was the location? When? Is this application today, in future, in past? How was the sequence of information? What? What exactly is the problem? What event are you describing? Why? Why is the person saying so? Why is this action happening? Why such motivation happening? How? What is the process through which this action is happening? What is the method of doing this? We ask questions and we analyze deeply the answers so that we can understand better. So critical thinking is purposeful, reasoned, and goal directed. It helps us interpret, analyze, and evaluate. And upon this, we can draw inferences about situations. Critically analyzing situations helps in defining the problem and identifying its root cause. So 5W and 1H is an useful technique which we can teach an adolescent. It is crucial for sifting through the information and organizing information and removing facts from opinions and assumptions. We heard a lot about thinking biases. So here I have taken only two biases, but there are a lot of thinking biases which can come. So confirmation bias, which we all have. So let us say I believe that coffee is completely harmless. I go and look at a study which tells coffee is harmless, so I can drink as much as I want. I approve it immediately. Whereas if there is a study which disprove this, I'll say ये source तो अच्छा नहीं है, इनमें तो कम. So I critically analyze only information which goes against me. Otherwise, whatever information I'll immediately accept. Then I connect with people who are giving me the same information, and I go into a information bubble, which each and every information is just filtering or feeding it more and more. We can classically see this in politics. So instead of critically evaluating any government action, there will be Modi bugs who will say everything is good, everything is for the best, and there will be Modi critics who will say everything is bad and everything. So that is confirmation bias chamber, and we should not fall prey to them. We should be able to think about any action individually through the merits and demerits of that action. Then there will be something known as anchoring bias, and this has been used for many of our thinking. So when we go to any sale, suddenly it is written 40% discount, and we go, the price is 3,000. We say, Arey, 5,000 thing I'm getting for 3,000, but that 5,000 was a false number. Actually, it may be only 2,000 rupees, and they're upscaling you by putting that 5,000 number. So this creates an anchoring bias. That number, so stuck on the first number, and that is what they do when you go for purchasing anything. So we should realize what kind of game marketing people, information people are doing, and if we can understand that, we can be guarded against it. So when we are thinking of critical thinking, remember the allegory of the blind man and the elephant. We just see one piece of information and we think what we know is completely true. And that is true in that one single sense. But if we step back, take the whole information, organize it properly, we realize how wrong we were. In that short instant, we may have felt confident, but if we look at the whole picture, elephant is nothing like a spear, a snake, a tree, a wall, a rope, or a fan. It is a completely different kind of beast. And similarly, our small uh, facts may not lead up to the whole picture. So we conduct exercises to students where they have to shift between what are facts and opinions and sieve through their assumptions. And this creates a good critical thinking in them. So this is poll time. 'Samir sir will be sharing the poll with you. Uh, Can you know the movie which this is based on? This image? You can put in the chat. Do you know the movie? Drishyam. Correct, correct. So this is Drishyam scene. And as you know, in Drishyam movie, he's a cable TV operator. Hmm? So if you know the movie, the question is, in the movie, Ajay Devgan's character plans the perfect cover story. He carefully studies police procedures and plans every step logically. Which life skill is he using? The poll will start. You have to vote. So you can choose any of the four options. Thirty-one people have voted. We'll give for a few more seconds. Not seen the movie. It's okay. Okay, I'll describe. So we try to put popular references, but all references may not be that popular. I'm sorry. Okay, okay. We'll end the poll, and we have nearly equal days. Uh, so 14 people are saying critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving. So all these elements are there, but I was specifically looking for. So he's continuously watching television, TV, movies and everything. He sees what the police does, how they work. So you can stop sharing. So he is evaluating. He looks at the procedures. He studies their blind spot. He says how many time he will take. So he is critically looking at the data which are available in front of him, and then planning his act. So he's a logical thinking, step by step process, and he is trying to learn. So this is a critical thinking in this example. Although that whole plan will have other elements also. We'll continue. So creative thinking. So second thinking, which we have to look at, is creative thinking. The ability to look beyond direct experience, which I know, and to explore alternatives. So what ma'am also said, thinking outside the box. It is important because this is essential for coping with stress also. It helps adolescents to see light at the end of the tunnel when feeling trapped by academic or social pressures. When there is deficiency of creative thinking, there is rigidity. A person cannot change from the plan, and it causes anxiety when the plan A fails. This typically can be seen with many neurodiverse autism, like or neurodiverse children on the spectrum, where they cannot go from plan A to plan B, and we have to work very much on what kind of different situations, and they have to make plans for everything. So creative thinking helps us cope with such situations. So creative thinking has many thinking barriers, like we thought in critical thinking, anchoring bias. This is known as functional fixedness. It is a specific cognitive barrier. It occurs when an object is viewed as having only its typical function, thus preventing the discovery of new or innovative uses. Adolescents may struggle to generate new ideas beyond the obvious solutions if they lack flexibility and elaborate thinking. So you can see this child, the child is holding a ball. So let us say, what kind of things can we teach, physical and other things, from a ball? Hmm? You can put in the chat box. You have a ball with you, and what kind of things can I teach a child? You can put messages in the chat. Throw smartly, correct? First action, geometry, yes. Sphere, shape, colors, okay, very nice. Space, shapes, colors, bounce, multicolor, shape, use, numbers, coordination, very nice. You have nearly identified all. So when imagination takes place, we can do many things, correct? So I can use them to throw, to kick, then to share among. So even you can sharing skills. So catch. You can do juggling. So hand-eye coordination. Then We can teach numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at times. You can teach counting with that. You can teach colors on the ball. So very nice, and many, many more uses. So that is creative thinking. We look beyond the functional fixedness. But the qualities required for developing creative thinking are fluency. So generating many new and new ideas. Flexibility. So right now I'm thinking pros, but then I have to think cons. So flexibility from going from one perspective to another. Originality. So creating new ideas. So some of you give wonderful ideas for the ball. Elaboration. So whatever idea somebody may bring, I elaborate and make it even more beautiful, more thick. So elaboration. You can see this example in the classical method, which is known as the six hat technique. What here does is, if we want to do a process, we give 5 minutes of thinking to each and every aspect of the problem. So I want to use the ball now. Same question. We think of the facts. So what this ball can be useful for? We'll write the fact. This is such size, such color, such. So we'll list down the fact. Then the process. So we can say the person is learning from themselves, or the person is learning from other people. Huh? So teacher teaching the child with the ball, or the child learning themselves with the ball. So we can think of two processes and we can work out. Then we have to have two emotional things, uh, optimism and risk. So optimism is will tell what are the advantages of teaching in this methods. Feelings is how we can get involved. So in some actions, feelings may not that be affected, mm, but for certain things, feelings consideration has to be paramount. Then risk. So if I teach the child through this method, will the child miss something? If the child is going to miss something, do I need to add other methods to uh, teach the child more accurately? Green hat gives creativity. So like you give so many creative solutions. So six hat techniques helps to develop different perspectives. It will help in critical thinking also, but it will also help us to develop newer and newer solutions and help us to develop creative thinking. This is another thinking of creativity, which is known as mind mapping. This is radiator thinking. So in our brain, we do not have organized information like this. So what are we have is different neuronal connections. Instead of linear nodes, the brain works by associations. Mind mapping mimics this structure, starting from center and it explodes outward. It can be used for planning and memorization. We can build. So how to build? So this is a 14-year-old who wants to host 5 friends at home. So this is the center stage. Now this will branch out to food and drinks. So what should be the snacks? What should be the mains? What should be the sweets? Do I need drinks? So what are the options? Then where to sit? What are the setup and vibe? So living room, we will be sitting. We'll be finding comfortable place. How to have lights? Whether I need to have Bluetooth speaker. What can the guest and invitees do? Who to invite? So my close friends. So I can text them. I can get confirmation from them before I start the event. I can make a invitation for them. Then what are the activities I am planning? So maybe movies. Let us have a music playlist. Let's keep few board games. I can have a photo moment so we all take good photos. Or just have a time where we talk and hang out. So I have created the options, and then I will match which guest likes what activity, so that each guest gets at least one or two activities they enjoy. So this is how a mind thinking works, and mind mapping is a technique which we can teach. So this is an example which we give a 14-year-old. Let us organize your own sleepover, and they do this planning. So they get to understand the connections. Mind. They can use later this technique in regular studies also. Then there is the creative thinking skill of reframing. It is art of perspective shifting. The problem is not the problem. The way you see the problem is the problem. So simple thing, change the wording. I have to study to new frame. I get to study because I can achieve my dreams. Change the context. I failed the test to a new context. I found a gap in my knowledge before the final exam, so I'll be better over there. The yet technique. Instead of I can't do this, I say I can't do this yet. Let's try. So reframing helps us. This reframing from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset solves many of our problems, internal as well as external with other people. When we have a scarcity view, when we look at everything from the fear of judgment, log kya kahenge, we avoid collaboration. Whereas the same person, when he goes to growth mindset, sharing will also, it will create a positive image of me. They will share back with me. I will get to connect and interact with many people. So simple things like sharing with others, a person can have a fixed mindset as well as growth mindset. We, each of us has fixed mindset in certain matters and growth mindset in certain matters. If we analyze it and change it, it will help us. It will help us to reframe and go into a growth mindset, which helps us in the long term. Then there are other techniques like brainstorming. Here we prepare, that is, gather facts and define the problem. Incubation allowed the mind to wander. Illumination, finding the types of information. So, what is the key insight in this? Then verification, implementation, testing the solution, and elaboration, modifying the idea based on the feedback. Brainstorming is a technique to generate large number of alternative ideas. We sit down, we do not conclude which is good or bad. We just keep on. So we may take post-it notes and randomly paste it on the this. Do 15 minutes of brainstorming and write all the possible solutions you can think of. Then we can organize them, which are feasible, which is the least cost effective, which is the most cost effective, which is the least risky, and then we can come to the final solution in hand. Or we can synthesize one or two more solutions and derive the latest solution. So brainstorming is a very important tool in creative thinking. Before we go ahead, this is again poll time. Again, one answer. This is a scene from the movie Bahubali. You may have seen this. Let us see. So, by viewing the palm trees not as plants but as launching mechanisms, Bahubali overcame a cognitive barrier known as functional fixedness. This is a subskill of which skill, which type of thinking? So, sir, you can add the poll. So, you can vote. There are four options. I know in thinking skills, na, all solutions appear like appear to be related to all the thinking skills because they are slightly overlapping. But functional fixedness, so 49 have voted. We'll end the polls. So most of you are correct. This is a critical thinking tool. So functional thinking. So creative thinking is the functional fixedness is the part of creative thinking. The third skill which we'll be discussing, how to identify a problem. First is a problem is something which creates difficulty in your day-to-day life functioning. It keeps nagging the back of your mind. कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. Affects your mental health. So you may be restless, you may be worried. It affects your performance. So it is a problem when it affects. So a child cannot focus in exams. It affects your sleep or day-to-day routine or appetite, and you're not comfortable and happy because of that one thing. Not able to make a decision about something is also a problem. So I hand over to Dr. Samir sir. Sir, you can continue.
Right. So till now we understand the different skill starting from the day one of the our sessions. That will be the starting with the, our self awareness, empathy, followed by the our coping skill, and today we will learn till now the three most thinking skill. That is the creative thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving. Now let's apply this thing in the our real life scenario, so we can at least implement this in the our life also, and we can start our thinking in same process that how actually this life skill education will help us to overcome the our problem that is happening in the our day-to-day life also, and how we can implement into our patient as and when required. So this is one of the good case scenario for us, and most of us facing some problem related to this. That you are going to go on to the vacation, Dr. ABC is going to manage the OPD in your absence, and you want to make some SOP related to the your OPD functioning and management in your option. So let's discuss the scenario in life skill management. So first thing is the our goal setting, and what our goal setting is to enjoy the holiday without the stress of the running the clinic, and of course the smooth running of the clinic in your absence. So these two things are the our goal setting. So let's discuss on that. So we all know these are the life skills that what we are knowing now very well. What is about the self-awareness, what is empathy, critical thinking, creative thinking, decision thinking, and problem solving. So in connection to the case scenario, what I given, wait, Sandeep, don't scroll that. So in the connection to the our this case scenario, what is the self-awareness that you are thinking should be must be there when we are putting someone in as a locum to the us? You can write into the chat box. So what are the self-awareness things that we must should be start?
Samir, if you say what are the self-awareness of your staff, then they may understand. What is the strength and weakness of your staff?
Madam, so there is a self-awareness that include, let's start with the thing. Yes, Sandeep, next please. So self-awareness will be that include not only the whether your staff is trained or not, but it also include the whether your clinic is equipped or not. And of course, the third person is that is the locum, that is the doctor is trained and certified to run or not. So this is the self-awareness. These three things must be there, and that's why you should understand the what is the actual strength in whether we can able to run proper, satisfactory our clinic or not. Now come to the empathy. That empathy will be related to the our own staff also. At the same time about the our locum, whether what the problem he can face, and at the same time what are the expected confusion patient will face when we are putting some locum. So we have to think all these things in the empathy. For the critical thinking, you can directly write into the wait, Sandeep. I will say next then it come otherwise problematic. So now, what is it Sandeep has teach you regarding the critical thinking and creative thinking? So what are the critical thinking is required in this case while you want to put some person in the your clinic to make it properly run in your absence with the so all the things safe thing in the, your mind which you are relaxing the mood. You can write into chat box. Reliable and trustworthy, train appropriately, availability absolutely, simple protocol, how we'll expect the emergency handle perfect, right? With safety netting, absolutely. So next is the critical thinking. That critical thinking that include the what are the basic needs that will require to fulfill this self-awareness and empathy related thing, and that is what are the most important three issues that must be taken care of, and what will be the emergency channel to connect with you if some emergency happens. So these two things what we are keeping in the mind. At the same time, how we can remain that connected, and how we can resolve this issue, that will be we will think about related to critical thinking. So can you give some idea about what are the thinking? So what are the creative thinking that you can imply in your clinic that will help you to fulfill your goal, that is the relaxation along with the good patient's outcome? You can write in chat box. Lack of the communication they are used to. So that's a thing. This is a thing why we are when something creative thing will be there. we will always having a some block minded, and if we remove that block, then and then we can think some creatively, and this creative thinking will be require a proper training for each and every such type of the situation. Then and then we can think something out of box. So next slide, next. So it will be the creative thinking will be the what are the other options if locum will not available. Next, whether locum should be kept or not, that is our decision making. How much responsibility to be given to him or her, and decision making SOP to how the staff will handle the patient in case of the emergency. So these are the basic structural thing that we have to understand. And lastly, what are the you all are saying absolutely final SOP and guideline must be followed by the staff and the lockup. So let's picturize this thing in a final structured way, how the vacation plan should be. That should be the step one. Define the never event, like the list the red line, list the mandatory referrals, list the legal must, and skill critical thinking, followed by the step 2, that is decision matrix, green zone, yellow zone, red zone, to make a proper decision in a proper structured way, followed by the operational firewalls that will give the how the staff will having a authority, how stocks will be maintained, what if conflicts will be there. And finally, with a creative thinking of that, control the narrative, how reframe the absence, because we are saying okay, doctor is on holiday, people may not like that, but if we say it is a in advanced training, people will definitely improve their views. At the same time, what are the options are available, that what we can give, what are the bridges that will directly communicate. So this is the our actual action plan we can create with the help of the our own life skill for the easy, good going, relaxing vacation. Thank you, Sandeep. You can continue.
Thank you very much, sir. So, before the interesting way, how we even can use life skills. So, going ahead, we discussed two. Now we discuss what is the problem is. So, problem solving is dealing with the process constructively. Unresolved problems cause mental stress and physical strain, the psychosomatic symptoms. It is important because dealing with them on time will decrease the stress in us. If we do not deal and there are always problems, the person becomes start to avoid any situations which can lead to stressors. And there is something known as learned helplessness. So he will say कि मुझसे क्या होगा बेचारा syndrome. So we want children to, instead of giving excuses, start to look at problems as opportunities. So there are few standard methods which can be used. This is an ideal method which is defined. Identify the problem, recognize that the problem exists and we need a solution. Define and represent the problem. So clearly define ki what is the what I'm trying to solve. How much can be solved? What are the constraints? What is the goal? Visualize it. Explore the possible strategies which I can use to solve this problem. Out of this, select a strategy, act on that strategy, implement it, and at the end, L, look back and learn. What did I learn? Could I have made a better choice? Could I have acted faster? Should I have defined the problem a bit better? This will help us to become better problem solvers as we go ahead in life. Similarly, there is a 7-step method. Identify the problem, explore the cause of the problem, set goals, look at alternatives by brainstorming, select the best solution, weighing all the consequences, implement, and again evaluate and reflect. So it is similar to the ideal method, but we have to teach one method so that they know the whole circle. That is what Samir sir tried to do during the problem by getting different views from you. Problem solving. So now again, poll time. Everybody remembers this? Does this photo need an explanation? What is this? Anybody? The scorecard is there. The person is there. He's hitting a big
Dhoni
six.
hitting the final six for the World Cup.
Correct. So 2011, most of us must have seen the match. If somebody doesn't like cricket, has apologies. Wait, sir, wait, uh, wait, sir, I will tell. So this situation, what happened during the match? If somebody remembers, I'll just share. This is the scorecard. The whole tournament, Yuvraj Singh was the best player. He won the man of the series for the World Cup. He came before MS Dhoni in each and every match. In the final, MS Dhoni saw the pitch, saw that Muralitharan was the bowler. Left-handed may have difficulty. Instead of Yuvraj Singh, he himself came, and rest, as they say, is history. So what is this? The question is, when the question MS Dhoni chose to bat himself ahead of Yuvraj Singh in the 2011 World Cup final, which life skill was he using? So now, sir, please share the poll. So critical thinking, problem solving. So it may seem all the four options are maybe applicable. 46 have voted. Once the 49, 50 are voted, I will stop it. Then the poll. Okay, 49 people have voted. Okay, I'll end the poll, share the results. Most of you have told the correct thing. Decision making. Here, there was no critical problem to solve. He did not have to see all the evidence. It was an intuition, but he had to take a gutsy decision that I can do it. That is what decision making involves. So this would be a primary skill of decision making. Hmm. So decision making, there will be always two options. This may be seemingly have their own pros and cons. So friends and fun and studies is a eternal debate. So balance in this is key. The process of choosing the best option among alternatives is decision making. It involves assessing options and consequences and constructively dealing with life choices. It is important and critical for sexual health, road safety, career choices, especially in teenagers who do have a problem with impulse control. Their impulse control problems leads to high risk sexual behavior, reckless driving, substance dependence. We know that most of the teenagers, by even by 16, are offered smoking, cigarettes, or risky behavior, and they have that option by their peers. Decisions can be of many types. Macro decisions, so important decisions like career, whether to invest in education or other opportunities, or micro decision, day to day. Should I eat breakfast and then study, or should I finish my task first? Small things. Decisions can be irreversible. Once they made, they cannot be unmade. Or reversible. Okay, आज ये करेंगे कल अलग से. It can be experimental. The results are not final. We'll understand whether they were good or bad later. Or it can be delayed. I'll wait for the right time to make a decision. So there are many types of decisions we have to do. Adolescents face internal obstacles like fear of failure, लोग क्या कहेंगे, lead to decisions or perfectionism, and external factors like social pressure and cognitive bias. So their own perfectionism or external factors can lead to problems, and there is the fear trap. There is lack of clarity, poor research, and over analysis can sometimes impede effective decision making. There can be decision making fatigue. So some person who is very exhausted by the whole day's work, he comes home, and then children know this is the best time to ask him for something. Then he will not say. But when you are very exhausted, your child will come to know. Even
நேத்து நீங்க
5 year
நைட்டு
old.
மீட்டிங் எத்தனை மணி வரைக்கும் உட்கார்ந்து இருந்தீங்க வெளியில?
Kindly keep your audio on mute. So decision making fatigue occurs. So barriers to good decisions include decisions which are hasty, narrow, scattered, or fuzzy. So having clear mind during decision making is very important. So there are few models, like we discussed the ideal model over there. Decision making also has few models. Decision power model: identify the problem, define and clarify what it is. Clearly identify what is the core problem which I need to solve. What are the options? Brainstorm the possibilities. Understand wide range of options. Then weigh the pros and cons. Elect and enact. Choose and implement the option, and again review. So this is similar to an ideal model. Then there is the 3C model. Challenge: what is the problem? Identify the challenge. Choice: review the choices which are available. Understand the consequences. So challenge, choice, and consequences, whether they are positive or negative, evaluate them, and then take a informed decision. By systematic moving through three C's, you arrive at a well-considered course of action with clarity and confidence. General strategies include pause to reflect, balancing logic and emotions, and involved trusted voices. So, involving trusting voices while retaining the final decision will be mine, but I will ask each and everybody. So, these are different strategies one can develop to take better decisions with clear understanding of what you expect from them. When teenagers take better decisions, they will go away from riskier habits. So, a child who is interested in sports will avoid smoking or addictions. A child who knows that sometimes there will be failure will take that courageous step to go on stage and show their performances. And this is how thinking skills can help teenagers give their optimum to the world and as well as have better life choices for themselves. This is a poll time. Anybody knows who is this person I'm showing? The other photo is the hint. Slides are not moving. Manji, correct. So spelling is wrong, but this is Dashrath Manji, the mountain man of India. Correct. So the question is, Dashrath Manji identified a major obstacle affecting his daily life and work constructively. So his wife died because they could not take her in time to the hospital. The process of dealing with these difficulties and to reduce stress, he identified. So what was the life skill? Ignore the question. What was the life skill he used? So we'll have a poll. Of these four life skills, which life skill did he use? Thirty-three answers. Let us wait till 49. This time we have a clear-cut pattern. Good. So you're now getting better. This is the one which we got the most answers. 42 answered. 2 seconds more for others. So most of you have got it learned. This is correct problem solving. So if he had done critical thinking, I don't think he would have arrived at the point where he has to break the mountain. He would have thought about what I will go to apply some process. He will have thought ये तो दुनिया change नहीं होने वाली है अभी क्या कर सकते हैं. Creative thinking, I don't think it was a very creative solution. It was hard effort for years and years and years. He found a problem. His brain gave him a solution. He started working on it. So this was problem solving. Maybe rationally it was not a good decision to make, but his persistent at that problem solving over the years made that effort worth it. Otherwise, today if you tell a teenager starts to do something like this, we'll say this is foolish. But he adopted his own way of problem solving and he made something work. So this was a poll. We will continue with the case scenarios. I invite Samir sir to continue. Thank you.
Right. So now we understand what is the decision making and problem solving, and we also understand all the life skills are in the circle. There is not a single life skill that followed by the another and followed by the another. You have to understand this life skill can be utilized as and when required, as in what are the first and what are the second. That will be the of your choice and the what will be the actual situation, and accordingly we will understand all the scenario what the Sandeep has given the different theories related to the problem solving, decision making, and of course critical thinking and creative thinking. We have to understand that. Now let's take a few case scenario that will be the regularly coming in our day-to-day OPD, and how even being a parent or the being a teacher also we are facing this problem. So if such problem happens, how we can go proceed? We all know these are the different things that we really require, but how we can implement actually to solve this problem? That is our aim and objective of this case scenario discussion. So let's discuss the 17-year-old Ria and her friends have become the very conscious of their looks and want to have costly cosmetic and plastic surgery to improve their looks. And parents tell you to help them. Next slide, please. So what will be our goal setting? Our goal will be to improve their body image At the same time, we have to improve their self-respect so that they can overcome their bias about their own body issue. So let's implement what are the learned till now about the things, because the routine approach is what we are usually do with the counseling them with for the beauty is not the only, and everything is temporary. They have to focus more on their career and academy, and grooming is okay, but procedures are very risky. All this routine approach really you do think will be work into the adolescent phase? Of course not. So how we can do it in a better systematic way with the help of the life skill, and that is the aim of this today's discussion. Next slide, please. So what about the self-awareness in this case? Anybody can put now this thing in the chat box. What are the self-awareness is that in this? What is the self-awareness? So we have to understand this case scenario in such a way that you can understand. So next scenario, you can also give your feedback. Next slide, please. The self-awareness about what is the understanding of what is their strength and what is their weakness. Continue, Sandeep. So in this case, what do you like about yourself? That is the first question that what we have to ask to the girl. Then when did you start the feeling that you are not looking good enough? That is very important, the starting point of this. And what are the factors that really influencing of that their belief? So if they are aware of, know about this thing, we can get the idea about, next slide please, to utilize the empathy. And how empathy will help? How does she receive a constant criticism about her look from her peers, and that will really hurt her? And is she struggling with this body image pressure of that their own peers? If it is there, we have to think according to the girl's purview and perspective, and we have to give answer, and we can come into the conclusion that they are convinced with our method and our technique, and that is about the thinking skill. Next slide please. So let's think about the critical thinking and the method what the Sandeep give. That is the 5W and 1H method, and that is the who are the real culprit, what action that lead to the problem, where is the actual pressure, when the timings are there, and why the core driver is affecting their belief, and how this mechanism appears. So let's see one by one. The first thing, next, please. So who are the actors? So in Gen Z, they are the main influencer. That is the digital media and their own peers. There are the many keen influencers are seen into their regular media, and that will ultimately be affecting their own thing. And no doubt few coming from the parents and medical personnel also. But main thing is the influencers are the digital media and their peers. Then what action? That include they want some retinol in drops, filter of the Botox, and Instagram faces of the homogenization. So all these thing actions, what they are seeing or they are checking regularly day to day online, they want to do something. Then where this pressure come? Of course, from the uh, Instagram and all the digital media, and comparison between the peers. And again, few hangouts are there, and in which they are really criticized by their peers, and that may lead to the more and more pressure on them. And then the timing. So actual timing usually they start into the early puberty, because at that time they having some concrete thinking, and that will be really influenced by their own peers, and that will be the extended into the mid and late puberty. And then comes the why. What is the main core driver? And that include the belonging and survival, algorithmic the dysmorphia, and control and chaos. All this will be ultimately lead to them to intensify their requirement, thinking about that it must be require proper structure mechanism and structure treatment to them to look good. And finally, how this mechanism will act? it will be ultimately give a glorification and gamification that what we actually going out. So these are the thinking what ultimately lead to this problem, and they are thinking in that way that their bodies should be changed and they really require some surgery or very high cosmetics. So next coming is the how critically we can think that creatively thinking will give us the opportunity to understand how they are thinking and what are the different solutions that will be really convince them. So let's accept that discussion that you are really require some beautification, but what is really it is important or not, let's discuss on that. So this is the basic thought of the creative thinking that help us to understand and that help them also to understand really this thing what they are thinking is required to improvise their own self esteem and self satisfaction is really needed or not. Next slide. So let's ask first thing complexion. If they are saying a complexion is really required, so these are the example we can give them. The DCC does complexion is not only required because all these actresses are having a not a good complexion, but they are really having a good actress, and that's why they are become the successful not because of their complexion. Next coming is their requirement is tall, means for proper height and very good, they are looking very short. So let's give some good example of them. And these are the heroines. They are really not a very tall. They are really, we can say, extremely short also. But even though are very, very successful. So give a proper actual example in real life. Last coming is the body shaping. So what are the example of that body shaping? Really, this type of the busty heroines, they are looking busty but having a good acting capacity, and they are also the very successful. So once we will convince them what they are expecting is that there should be good complexion, there should be good height, and there must be the good body shape is not the until considered as a beautiful. If they are convinced with this our argument, and this is the creative thinking, convince them in a proper systematic approach. Next, now come into the we want to popularity social media, is it really needed? Second important thing, let's hammer on that their own thought process. If we ask what is the most popular hero or heroine they know, and if whether they are never trolled, never hated, no matter they are having an excellent capacity to understanding about the acting, they are doing an excellent acting in the many movies, but because of the small action of them, that may ultimately lead to them more trolling and haters are there. So only popularity in social media is not at all important, and that will be the not the aim and objective to become the more beautify yourself. And that's why we have to understand and they have to give can the popularity will be achieved without plastic surgery, if yes or no. Next slide. At the same time, if we give the what are the risk of the plastic surgery and what are the excellent example what we have, that is the next slide. That is the Michael Jackson. How he was looking first, even though he was popular, he tried to become the plastic surgery and just change his face like this way. At the same time, next one, Priyanka Chopra herself has told that because of the plastic surgery, she has got the so much consequences. So we have to explain them. These are the things really lead to the problematic, and such type of the things is not required to become the more beautification of their own body. Next slide. So till now we convinced them this is the not only the things that would require, but at the same time we have to give a proper problem solving mechanism also. So then we have to give how they can beautify or their healthy become rather than beautification, healthy and helpful way that they can improvise their personality and beauty. And that is the mainly physical and natural beauty things that include the hydration and routine, healthy lifestyle education. At the same time, they can more popular and getting the more specialist skill by the social skill perfectionism, like the active listening, growth mindset, kindness and empathy, develop the specific hobby that will improvise that real good maximize the personality. At the same time, they can get the good coping mechanism for the emotion and the stress management, and that include their inner radiations and inner innovation, that include the daily movement of applying for the yoga, journaling, gratitude practicing, smiling more, and at the same time quickly action plan that include the swap from the water to sugary daily, start and read a 5 pages and practice. So these are the healthy ways that will be we have to implement, and we have to ask them to go for this, that will help them to make them more beautiful rather than the using the plastic surgery or some such type of the beautification tools. Next. So what are the other thinking or the creative idea that you can give them? You can write into chat box. It's time to yours. So we are giving 30 minutes. What are the other creative idea that we can also implement in this case? Few already there celebrate more trending and role models, actually real heroes and heroines are absolutely yes. So we can inform them regarding that, and we can convince also them. Any more idea? Lead by the example, especially mothers. Yes, okay, mother can be channelized their thought process. Use the sponsors, have a family session. Absolutely yes. Explain the difference between the glory and glamour. Absolutely yes. So these are the different ideas. Now you are having their own idea, and this is what the our aim and objective to giving this life skill education sessions to you. Start thinking yourself rather than asking us, okay, what are the solutions, and that's what we are going to conduct into our the end of the final session. Next slide. Sandeep, next slide, please. Hello. Sandeep? Yeah. So let's take one one common problem once more. And now we will expecting that you will write into the chat box about the different life skill, how we can utilize in this. This is the 15 years old Raj is going to have a board exam in February. He is also a swimming team captain and have their inter-school competition at the same time. He knows the importance of the exam, but he also feels that responsible for the school performance also. So what will be the goal setting in this, and how we can utilize that creative all the things. So our goal setting in this is the passing the exam at a good mark and taking a part in a swimming competition without affecting the academic. So let's start our thought process as what we are thinking about the previous two cases. That is about the our own case of the vacation, and then the girl Priya. So what are the thought process we have to start with? Next slide. So what is the self-awareness in this? Write into chat box. What is the chat box? Request for the change of the network. That will be okay. Let's start about the what is the self-awareness in this case. Identify the hurdles. Absolutely yes. Then time management. Okay, perfect. Okay. His capability about getting the awards through the school. Aware priority. Absolutely yes. Strength is good. Both are important. Balance between study time, priority. Okay. So next slide, Sandeep. Yes, so these are the self-awareness. Know about the importance of the exam and his preparedness. Know about the responsibility and importance of his presence in the team as a captain. So this is really a self-awareness that really required him, and it is there. Next come is the empathy. So what empathy he must have? Write into chat box. किस किस के लिए उसको एम्पैथी होनी चाहिए और उसके लिए किसको एम्पैथी होनी चाहिए फॉर स्कूल यस परफेक्ट Cell, right? His team, perfect. His school and teammates for Cell, right? Perfect. So next slide. All are now thinking properly. So Raju understands the teammates look up to him and maybe feel anxious if he suddenly withdraws. So that is the empathy to their teammates. At the same time, empathy to the worriness about their parents, teacher, and coach also. So how much pressure they are carrying. Absolutely yes. So these are the empathy that he must have to understand his problem. Next slide. Now coming is to the critical thinking. Practice when there is a free timing will be there, and sharing the responsibility with the teammates. This is a critical thinking how we can take, and how the coach and the team support the Raju's exam, that is the shorter but the more focused practice and flexible timing of the practice. So this is a critical thinking what I had already given. Now let's give the some idea about the creative thinking in chat box. What are the creative thinking that will help to implement the Raj that he can really go for a good examination along with the participation in the his own swimming competition also. So what are the creative thinking that will help him to go for his goal? Carry books to the club and read are very good. Yes. Set up the reward for playtime when study is completed, time management, time gap between both, make memory mnemonics and study skill. It improve study skill, adjusting the training time, planning on gap days. Very good. Timing for the both events adjustable, can do it. Shifting from media. अरे बोर्ड एग्जाम है कहाँ से चेंज होगा, एंड नेशनल गेम है वो कहाँ से चेंज होगा. Reduce the practice load during the exam week, time management. Yes. So these are all about the critical thinking and creative thinking. So these are the creative thinking. Give a how we can Raj not require the regular physical exercise or the physical thing, but he can give us some team that because it's a team event. So their team should be ready as a captain here to give some motivation to them. So he can give directly tips to the teammates how they can improve their own skill. He can also send us some motivational message to them and celebrate the efforts which improve the moral of that teammate. At the same time, there must be something he can give a good, impactful timing, very short, effective mechanism accordingly with. Next slide, please. So now we understand the actual use of the life skill, and now coming into the decision making. For that decision, we have to list all the options and share the decision with the parents, coach and teacher. That is really good. Next, and we have to understand these are problem solving. Here the clash between the board exam and inter-school competition for the student captain. We have to define. Here there is no thing can be changeable. Dates are not definitely going to change. So we have to think over and above the change of the date what we are continuously seeing in the chat box. At the same time, identify the course, what are the timing and workload, generate the option, evaluate and choose the actual plan and assign the responsibility to the different people in a different systematic way. That will really help to utilize life skill in a proper systematic way. Next slide. So in short, if we also apply all these life skill in a systematic way, in a proper approachable manner, we will really come out with some solution that really give a good effective communication and ultimately good solution that will be give us a good concluding event that will give us positive results. Thank you. Sandeep.
So thank you very much, sir. So we completed the fourth, and I hope that all your questions in the pre-test have been answered. If anything, we can have the house open for discussion and questions. Bhavya ma'am is there. So she will be the best person to guide us all. And remember, as we see, all those skills are not watertight. So for the test of a pre-test, it's okay. Something from critical goes to creative. Question is how we can use all the four skills. Kindly stop the screen share, Mr. Samant, Dr. Samant. Huh? So how we can use different kinds of thinking patterns or tools to have better understanding of the problems and solve those problems. So,
Sandeep,
like,
there's a
sir,
question for you. Can you
yes.
explain functional fixedness once more?
So, example, when we look at any object, we know the role of the object. So, uh, a pen is used to write, but at the same time, that same object in certain circumstances can be used at different things. So, that is the typical thing which we Indians call jugaad. So it is a form of thinking where different appliances can be or used. So I don't have a pen with me to write, but I have to write something important. So maybe I use a pencil. If I don't have a pencil, I have something I will write with my finger, but I have to write some words. So how we can deliver the result without having a conception of that this has to happen this way. And because I am getting stuck because of that, I will not view. So ball, as we saw, a ball can be used to play, but at the same time we can teach hundreds of things through a ball, not necessarily only physical things. So how you view that thing is known as functional fixedness, and we each have for certain objects. So
Sandeep,
संदीप
identify.
एक
there's another
संदीप इस पे
question.
एक ऐड कर दो
Anchoring
ऐड कर दो
biases with more
Yeah.
examples.
मतलब बॉल का आउट ऑफ बॉक्स थिंकिंग जो है दैट इज द थिंक बॉल किसी को मारने में और प्रोटेक्शन में भी यूज कर सकते हैं इज द आउट ऑफ बॉक्स थिंकिंग
Thinking.
रेदर देन जस्ट प्लेइंग एंड मूविंग तो दिस आर द थिंग्स दैट इज द आउट ऑफ बॉक्स या
Samir,
Anchoring
you
bias
are thinking like a violent adolescent.
नहीं सेल्फ प्रोटेक्शन की बात कर रहा हूँ मेरा
So
Yeah.
anchoring bias example. So in if somebody is investing in stocks, I buy some company share at 1,000 rupees. That 1,000 rupees becomes my benchmark. So you buy gold at certain price. Price below that we think that this is cheaper. Anything above that we think अरे अभी महंगा लेना पड़ेगा. So many times you will hear हमारे जमाने में तो 10 रुपए में पेट्रोल था. That is the anchoring bias. Now, but because of that price, everything seems costly to them. Whereas they may be earning 1,000 times and petrol may have increased just 10 times the rate. So that is the anchoring bias which we all have at some point or the other. We have to realize that this is the case and we have to be exactly what I am saying. Is it some kind of bias or whether it is appropriate thing? When I am considering something very high or low, a child is having scored 95% marks in the first test. Next exam, mama says, why 94%? 95% is less. But she doesn't realize last time he was third in the class, this time he's first. So anchoring bias is that 95% marks in that case. So we have to see something which comes before and we start to think that this is appropriate. So somebody loses a job during COVID and then has to go return to a job. He thinks I should get the same salary. But the market conditions may be different. He may have to accept a lower salary. Anchoring bias. My salary becomes my anchoring bias. What is algorithmic something? Algorithmic thinking is like a computer program we write. So we have our even in CPR. So a newborn comes, there are four questions which we ask. So if heart rate is not there, we start the next activity. If heart rate comes to 90, we do this. So algorithm, we go by step by step. Now here two options are there, yes or no. If it is yes, what will I do? If it is no, what will I do? So I go from here to some place I am traveling, the road is closed. So I will take a side route. So this is algorithmic thinking. Thinking step by step, thinking of the different options I get on the first step, and then having solutions for the next steps which I come. So this will be algorithmic like thinking. Fishbone analysis is like a fishbone pattern. No? So we come first option, create options for that question. Go to next question, create solution. So fishbone analysis. So step by step, solving one problem by another.
It has no relation with life skill.
It is a type of fishbone analysis, type of thinking
Type
pattern.
of analysis.
Type of analysis, not direct life skill. So these are thinking patterns. See, everybody has a different logical way to put things, but these are synchronized patterns so that we do not delay or we do not have a blind spot. So when we are doing all the 6 questions, we will not miss when to do the action. So we'll do all the 6 in order. So these are things so that we can do the thinking process complete. Somebody is
Dr.
raising the
Shilpa
hand.
has raised the hand.
You can unmute and speak.
Dr. Shilpa, you can unmute and ask.
Good evening, sir,
Yes, ma'am.
and good evening, ma'am. It was a beautiful session, and I want that request to you all that can we get the literature to have the references in future also about this?
Yes.
We are putting the links. Every session you see, we are putting resource links which you can read more.
And
What I will
regarding the
say is,
question that I also ask into the our group also regarding the PPT presentation will we know we are not able to give, but resource material and the how you can get the more references you will directly get into the our WhatsApp group also, and this WhatsApp group will remain active till you really require the help of that anyway.
what I would suggest is, we are in the age of AI. Resource material should not be a problem to read anywhere. So, madam had given 2 books today. I will just share in the group what I got from the book summary, which I gave to Gemini, and you will realize that ma'am may be taking 3 days to read or 4 days to read that book. Maybe that core ideas we can get in 15 minutes. So I'll just share that summary in the group, and then you will realize to ask for resource materials where you can get the complete library of whatever has been written about life skill within summarized within few minutes. Use those tools. Now, this is a life skill which you have to learn to cope with the times. We have to develop our thinking skills, use the better tool of AI to improve us. So don't limit yourself. I'll just share the summary of the 2 books which ma'am has given after the art session is over. And you will realize how much we can understand from this small AI tool and get the core knowledge which we require.
And
Sandeep, put them in the main WhatsApp group so they
Thank
can
you,
all.
Yes,
sir.
yes. I'll share in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 15 minutes.
And most important thing regarding the life skill education is to let's understand, improve your thought process, implement in systematic way, and give the good ultimate result in your own life. So all resource material will help you to improvise your knowledge, but implement and action is totally depends on you, and that what you have to learn with this life skill education.
Giving my experience after I became a life skill trainer in 2001, and now I think I'm a much better person, much more control of my emotions. I can handle my stress better, and I can make a very informed decision using the life skills. So as you practice more and more, as you teach more and more, it should not be, in Marathi there's a saying, Loka Sange Brahmadhyan Apan Korde Pashan. So you must have seen that many people attend Gita classes. They read Gita, they can quote Gita, but their behavior does not change. They still have anger issues, they still have grudges, they still are fighting with people. So, knowledge is different. An application of knowledge to make your behavior change is different. So, it is not just enough to read about life skills and understand life skills. If you do not follow them yourself, you can really not teach any adolescent because you are a role model. You teach them coping skills and emotions as a teacher or as a boss, and then you end up having screaming matches in between. They're not going to bother about you teaching them life skills because they will see that you are not imbibed life skills yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. Excellent.
And we will definitely take that care that in last session you there yourself will be try to improvise your skill of how to get the out of the any problem what we are really facing in day to day with a different case scenario of daily life.
Sir, can I ask Dr. Sameer Shah my question now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Pulak.
yes, sir.
Sorry for the interruption, but I just in your last talk when you discussed about the case, one case, mentioned in
Right.
one point worry
Everybody,
breaks.
please unmute yourself. Somebody is giving disturbance.
So,
Yes.
Dr. Sameer Shah, I just wanted to know about what is the exact, how do we implement worry breaks? What is the real meaning of worry breaks
Worry
when you
breaks are given
discuss
in
that
detail,
case?
Dr. Lal, in the
अच्छा,
chat
that on
box.
the
You asked the
WhatsApp.
other
That
question.
means
हाँ व्हाट्सएप पे दे दिया है और फिर भी सिंपल सा बताओ इफ यू हैव गेट टू मेनी conferences or
we
to
have
prepare it to just a minute if you want to do the some too many presentation at a time so think about the only one thing and remaining सबको भूल जाना that is the worry break.
oh, that is one. And number two, in
Second,
your thing of that helpful ways of managing emotions, in one of your those slides, you had mentioned about recognize patterns. To know yourself, you have to recognize patterns. What does that mean? I couldn't understand, sir.
Right. To recognize pattern means ultimately worry is having a properly systematic way it will be flow. So that pattern, if we understand then and then we can implement that life skill in which life skill will be the applicable.
Okay.
Because the what are the Sandeep has given that example in the presentation regarding the fast thinking and the slow thinking. Right. So in fast thinking, if we are not able to know that pattern, ultimately, if we really require a fast thinking, and we will start to thinking about in detail way, that may lead to the more problematic. So you have to understand the what the pattern or the which type of the thinking you really require. If you implement that at the right time, then and then you can implement that in the proper way because you having a knowledge of the what the thing, fast thinking and slow thinking. But if your brain is not trained with that thing, that ultimately lead to more troubleshooting.
another
Thank
way
you so
Same,
much.
also of
Thank
answering
you
Pulak.
so
this
much.
question is patterns of your own behavior. That means what happens to you mentally, emotionally, physically when you start worrying or when something gnaws at you. And suppose you feel that you are getting more of autonomic disturbance changes, you are getting tachycardia, you're getting adrenal surge, then you need to calm yourself down and stimulate your parasympathetic system. So understanding your own patterns of emotional expression will also help you for your own emotional regulation.
Thank you so much, sir.
Simple
Thank
thing.
you.
Just add to this. Simple pattern. When I open my phone, the first thing used to happen is I opened the phone for some other task. I have to call somebody or I have to message somebody. Then I go to WhatsApp and instead of thing, I start to check on the groups. Then I go to the conversation. And by the time 10 minutes are over, I'll think, "अरे, वो phone तो रह ही गया." So that is my pattern. So know what I have to do? I will not open the WhatsApp for phone calling. I'll call from the directly from the landline, or I will use this other phone, which is so understanding patterns helps us to break them because these are spontaneous decisions we take. So if an alcoholic is trying to break his habit, they tell him to avoid certain places or certain people because you go with them, you go in the flow, and you start to again have those experiences. You don't start to think and don't do critically analyze. Similarly, we have to find our own patterns so that we can change our behaviors.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Even you are not understanding your pattern, the AI and the all the digital tools are understanding your pattern already, and they
That
are
is true.
giving the ideas continuously to you.
Thank you
The
so much.
AI
Thank you
understands
so
a
much.
pattern and you get the same ads, you get the same information. Google tracks what you have done, and then you'll see that you keep getting the same info again and again and again because
Yeah,
they have tracked what your mind likes to watch or
there's no
think
privacy left now,
or
ma'am.
read.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Shamal, shall we now call it a day, a night rather?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. So next week we have a break. So just to be clear, we'll have our next session on the 6th of Jan. 30 December, we are having a break.
And by that time, we will give you a opinion poll whether we are changing the 13th January. But wait for us to give some information on the chat, group chat.
Sure.
Okay then.
Okay then.
Okay. Okay.
Good
Good
night,
night,
Guru.
and let's continue the learning of life skill ourselves. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will now open the our WhatsApp group for the discussion and sharing the all the this YouTube link of today's session also for next 1 week. And if you all just check, I have not at presently closed the YouTube link of the both two session also, but now I am closing that. Thank you.